Hello and welcome. Let's learn how to bake my great-grandma's cornbread. Here are the ingredients you'll need if you want to follow along. The recipe will also be included below. Please preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius and let's get started. For this recipe, you're going to need a skillet. This is a 10 1/4 inch skillet or about 26 centimeters. The first thing you need to do is grease your pan. I'm using 1 tablespoon of oil, 15 milliliters. You can use melted butter, lard, you can use shortening, you can even use bacon grease, which is actually very tasty. You want to make sure you get the bottoms and the sides well coated. I like to use my hands because there's little nubs on this pan, and the paper towels and those pastry brushes tend to grab a hold of it and tear and leave little hairs behind. So I like to just use a clean hand and just grease it well. Set this aside, wipe off your hands, and let's make that cornbread batter. In a large bowl, I have some cornmeal, 1 1/4 cups, 187.5 grams. To that, I'm adding 1 1/4 cups all-purpose flour, 187 grams. You may call that plain flour. I'm also adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 6 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 4 grams, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1.25 grams. As long as you are using buttermilk, you can omit the baking powder if you don't have it. However, the baking powder does give an extra airiness to the bread, so I do recommend keeping it. And then if you have self-rising flour, you can omit all 3 of these ingredients. The next thing we're going to add in is some sugar, and this is a bit of a controversial ingredient. There's a joke, the more northern you are in the Appalachians, the more sugar you use. You can do whatever you want, but I do recommend try it just one time in your life. I know, sugar doesn't belong in cornbread to some people, and other people it's an absolutely necessary thing to do. I'm using a 1/4 cup or 50 grams. You can go as little as 1 teaspoon, but that sugar does help the texture of the bread and keeps it less crumbly. You don't have to put it in at all. You can omit it. It just gives a little hint of sweetness. Some people say it makes it taste like cake. I'll leave that up to you. Set that aside, and now we're going to put our wet ingredients together in another bowl. We're going to add 1 large egg, 50 grams. To that, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of oil. That is 60 milliliters, and you can use any kind of oil you like. You also can use lard here, or you can use melted butter, or even bacon grease again if you want it more savory. If you do make it savory, I do recommend you take out that sugar. One of the most important ingredients of the cornbread is buttermilk, 1 1/4 cups, 300 milliliters. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, I do recommend you at least make a substitute, which is really easy to do, and I'll give you a link on how to do that. You want to mix this until it's well combined, and then you add the dry ingredients in with the wet ingredients. Now, if I was thinking correctly, I would have poured the wet ingredients into the dry bowl and had more room to spare when I mix this together, but sometimes I don't think straight, and it's okay. Stir this until it just comes together, and it will be a thick, lumpy batter. You do not want to overmix this. If you overmix it, it will be very tough. You're going to see some lumps, and you're just going to let this sit for 5 minutes after you get it well combined like this. Once this has set for 5 minutes, the batter thickens up quite a bit as it's absorbing that flour and cornmeal, and it's going to look like this when you put it into your pan. It's going to be quite thick. You're going to have to spread it out and level it the best you can, but it's okay if it's a little bit shallow in one place and taller in another. No one really cares. It's just a matter of how it tastes. Bake this 25 to 30 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean and it's a golden brown color like this. The center should read between 200 degrees Fahrenheit to 210 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 to 99 degrees Celsius. Let this sit in the pan for 15 minutes before you try to remove it. If you remove it too early, it'll just fall apart on you and you do risk getting burned because this cast iron is quite hot. Let's cut into this and see what it looks like. As you can see, Maggie is already hovering. She's so excited about this bread. This is one of our favorite recipes to make, and this is what it looks like. It is just absolutely amazing and wonderful to eat and share with family and friends. If you don't like the sugar, again, just leave it out. That's entirely up to you. But look how excited Maggie is to try this cornbread. She absolutely adores it and wants more. I am curious, do you like sugar in your cornbread? Why or why not? I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you for visiting us, and as always, happy baking.